Hey guys, Smarter Nice Skyro88 here, and I wanted to put my input about the Tron Ares film. There's been a weird divide between the viewers and the audience, and I also want to put my thoughts into it. The last movie I watched that I talked about was Superman. And I never had an issue with the Superman film. My only issue was that Superman was not portrayed correctly as Superman should be. That was my only issue, but it wasn't the absolute worst movie. But I'm referring to that because the reason why Superman failed was because the lack of understanding of the Superman character. And the same issue is applied on this film. But the film was very close to the accuracy of the original Tron. And I didn't know that until I actually watched Tron. Because I've never seen Tron. I only saw Tron Legacy, and when I saw Tron Ares, I went to watch it. So I had no knowledge of I knew of the Tron movie, but it never crossed my mind to really watch it because it looked like a kind of boring movie from the previews that I saw, and so I never watched it. But I decided to watch Tron because I wanted to just finish the thing. Said, hey, I finished all the other Trons, why not just finish it off with the final Tron? Well, the first Tron. And so I did. And I enjoyed the Tron film, but it was a boring movie still. I didn't like the Tron movie too much. But I am going to have to say that a lot of the reviewers who are giving the negative feedback about Tron Ares, they didn't watch the first movie. Because they kept coming up that that there was no reason for a story about two families feuding with each other. And with them saying that, that means they didn't watch the first Tron. Because in the first Tron, that's where the feud began. The feud began in the first Tron because Flynn was tricked by a software engineer. And that with family is the name of the family that they're dealing with in this film, Dillinger. And there's conflict. If you watch the first Tron movie, you understand the conflict between Dillinger and Incom and why there's always been issues between the two. But if you never watched the first Tron, you would have never been aware that there were two families in the Tron series. And so those giving it negative reviews was saying that the family, there was a pointless story plot of the two families divided because there was no reason for it to exist. There was a reason for it to exist. The reason why there is a feud between the two companies is because of the feud between Flynn and the grandfather of the son of this film. And so I just want to come on here to make my own honest opinion about Tron. Because both films, Superman and Tron, both deserve attention. But especially Tron, because Disney has been going through a lot of issues for several years. And when I watched Tron, it's like the first movie where they were genuinely trying to fix the mistakes that they've made in the past. And it also, if you watched I also watched all the Marvel films up to now. I've seen all the Marvel films. And all of the Marvel, they seem to be trying to fix the mistakes that they've been making in the past. Now, I don't know what's going on with the Star Wars franchise right now because there's notes about George Lucas quitting. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. But before he quit, I feel like the next Star Wars film coming out, that's them trying to fix the damage that they created in the Star Wars original films. But all of that being said, I feel like Tron is very important for two reasons. The first reason is for the sake of trying to resurrect the Disney universe, and also resurrecting the Marvel universe, because I feel like Disney is trying to undo the mistakes they made. So, with all that being said, I'm talking about all of this because of the importance of a movie review. A lot of movies are being trashed simply because they were made by Disney. They're not given the chance that they really deserve. And Tron is one of those films that doesn't deserve the hate that it's getting. I don't even know where the hate came from. Because Tron is actually a really good movie. And it's actually a very special movie. Because it is the first movie that we've seen in a while where it's a genuinely good film. It's not the best film, but it's not bad either. I can watch that movie 1,000 times. And if you're into spectacular shows, Tron Ares is that way. And now my personal opinion about Tron Ares is because I like Tron. I like the storyline of Tron. It's an interesting aspect to consider. But I also really like the film even without any knowledge of Tron. The film by itself was really amazing. I liked the film. I watched it twice in theaters because I enjoyed it. And I didn't even notice a lot of the details in it until I saw the first Tron film. There's a specific scene where there are certain scenes that occur in the Tron Ares film that directly link it to the original Tron film itself. So you don't have to really watch Tron to understand Tron Ares, but to get the full experience, you need to watch the Tron film. But as it stands, as a regular standing film, it's probably the best film that we've seen in a while. The hero characters are not being treated like dirt. There is a woke message in it, but it's a positive one. Like, I haven't seen a movie based on a positive nature of woke, because the nature of woke is a positive thing. The idea that everyone is equal, everyone has the right to be who they are, everyone is equal people, equal judgment, treating people just like people. It doesn't matter the color of their skin, their race, their culture. The message of woke is a good message, but it's been fueled by hatred. So a lot of the ideas of woke are very negative, because the people behind those messages are hateful and spiteful people. And so they turn that movement into a weapon instead of a defense weapon. And honestly, when you think about it like that, it's kind of like the same situation with Tron. Because if you want to think about it from I guess I don't want to say philosophical point of view, but the nature of the movie is very similar to the nature of creation and ideas. Because an AI supercomputer could be a very good thing. It can help the world. It could unite the world. But there's also those who would use it as a weapon, as a tool of destruction. So it is actually very reminiscent of what's really going on in our world. Words are being weaponized. People are hating each other for no reason, with no proper information. They just hate each other, and they don't need to. And unintentionally, Tron kind of represents that very well, because one side of the spectrum, they want to use this advanced AI system to better the world, to enhance the world, make it a better place. But then on the other side, you have a cold calculating machine designed to be a weapon to use for war. And so, I didn't think about it before, but now that I think about it, Tron is very reminiscent of what's happening around the world right now. But without the philosophical ideals, the movie itself is a great movie. I feel like if you're there to be entertained, if you're there to see a hero's journey, like if you want to go back to the basics of a basic film, where just a simple foundation, a simple but good foundation of a story of like an 80s style film, where it's not super complicated, it's good and evil, and a reasonable reason for why they're good and evil, then this is really a movie for you. It's like the new era of a hero's journey, because there's a lot of, beyond the movie itself, there's a lot of hate being spit out, saying that it is a very woke movie. And though unintentionally, it is woke, but not in a negative way. It is actually very positive. It's a very positive message, and the method of making the world a better place, looking at the world through the eyes of the unknown. Tron, well, Ares, he is a program designed to destroy. And as he gains a soul, he begins to gain knowledge. And in turn, he becomes human in a way. And so, Ares is just an interesting story as well as an interesting concept. It's not a very complicated story, and like I said, when it comes to the woke messaging, I guess there is a slight touch of woke in it, but it's actually good. It's actually a good one, a good message, because the main character is Ares, and the lead female character, she's a genuine person, and people say that even her character isn't realistic, but honestly, I think she is a realistic person, because if you're talking about a highly intelligent person, someone who is highly intelligent doesn't perceive emotions the same way the average person does. They can't, because the idea of emotion is an unnecessary thing. Like, you feel the emotions, you feel them, you don't know why you feel them, but you know they're there. But from a logical perspective, you put on a mask to control those emotions, because you don't need to cry every 5 minutes when just the smallest thing throws you off. You can't react to it. As someone who is highly intelligent, they perceive the world from a logical perspective. So when you talk to a highly intelligent person, they seem cold and heartless, but honestly, usually they're the most deepest people that you could come across. But unlike the average person, they've learned to bury those emotions, because logically speaking, emotions get in the way. And for someone who's highly intelligent, you do become more machine, because your brain does not process emotion the same way the average person processes emotion. The logical brain doesn't know how to express it. And although the logical brain understands emotion and knows that emotion is there, the logical brain is focused on the logical perspective. It's trying to solve the problem from a logical stance, not an emotional stance, because a logical brain understands that an emotional reaction is not the best way to solve not the best way to solve a problem. And so when you come across someone who's highly intelligent, when they seem like they're cold and menacing, those are usually the ones that are actually the most emotional. And in Greta Lee's case, she's the same way. Her character is supposed to be a highly intelligent person. She's supposed to be a genius, one of the best of her era. And so the emotions that she has are not as expressive as someone who is not as logical thinking. And I think that her character, I liked her character. I thought she was a very interesting person because she is trying to solve the puzzle for the sake of her sister due to her sister's passing. And anyone who does that, who is based on logical thinking, that's how they honor the ones they've loved. And so she, instead of crying about it, she buried her emotions and finished her sister's project as a way of honoring her memory. And to me, I didn't see her as an emotionless person. I felt like she was full of emotion, and she definitely wasn't a boss girl, because you can see her struggle and her strife. You can see her pain and her suffering. And she didn't have all the answers. There were times where she needed help, because though she is highly intelligent, she has limitations in intelligence. It seems like her intelligence is based more on programming, whereas the people she works with are more technical, or vice versa. And when she needed help, she didn't just sit there and say, well, I'll do it myself, because she knew she couldn't. She let go of the reins and trusted her employees to finish the mission, and twice she was self-sacrificing. So those are also attributes of another style, another kind of person, it's another attribute of a genuine person and not a boss. So when it comes to the woke messaging, I guess it is there, but it wasn't meant to be there. It was accidental. And when it comes to philosophical, there is kind of some complexity about this film. If you look at it from an analytical way, which unfortunately I do. I am very analytical. So from an analytical perspective, there are certain attributes. The story by itself is just a basic story. It's a hero's journey, and this hero's journey is about Ares. And there were moments in the film that could have been better, but for what it was a really good film. It fulfilled its purpose, which I like films like that. Films that fulfill their purpose. Even if it's not the best story, if it fulfills its purpose, then it's a good story to me. Like, for example, Transformers is a very shallow story, but it fulfilled its purpose. That movie was made to say we want to see the military, we want to see robots fighting each other, and it delivered. So even though we didn't have a complex feelings about the characters of the story, you weren't really concerned about the characters because you were watching a movie about Transformers. So I love those movies because they fulfilled their purpose. Movies like Superman, like I said, it's a good hero movie. If it was not about Superman, it would have been a great film. And that's what makes it bad. The film is bad because the title of the movie didn't need the hero. You could watch that movie without Superman and still watch a superhero film and enjoy the superhero film like you would Guardians of the Galaxy or Avengers. If you went there to watch a superhero film, then it was a good movie. James Gunn hit bombshell, perfect hero film. His only mistake was making the movie called Superman, because the movie was not about Superman. He was here and there, but the primary focus of the film was on the Justice Gang. And that's my only issue with the film. I wasn't watching a Superman film. And I know I'm a Zack Snyder fan, heaven forbid. But I like Zack Snyder because this was his script. Imagine a world where people like us lived among gods. And this is the story you got. And that's what the story gave us. We watched a movie about gods. And even Superman, he was Superman. In fact, it was because of him that I actually really started loving Superman. Because I liked Superman at first, because I've always liked Superman, but I was never really a big fan of Superman. I like Superman, but he wasn't my top tier hero. But when I finally watched Zack Snyder's version of Superman, I saw what it really meant to be Superman. There were small moments throughout all the three trilogy, where you can see the moments where he was Clark Kent, and then you can see the moments where he was Superman. There were points where he was upset because he was in a lot of pain, and then there were moments where he flew to save the world. And unfortunately, some people, when they watch those films, they miss the whole point. And even Zack Snyder himself, he said he wasn't a big comic book fan, but he understood Superman. And because of his understanding of Superman, I grew to truly love Superman for what he really was. Because before then, I watched Smallville, I watched all the animated Supermans, Superman, the Christopher Reeve Superman, I watched Superman Returns, but I never could truly understand Superman until I saw The Man of Steel. Because, well, not even The Man of Steel, it was actually the Batman vs. Superman, because of one scene where he had to be strong, and even though the world was hating him, treating him like dirt, treating him like a criminal, he still chose to step forward as Superman. And he knew that the world needed him. And he chose to endure that suffering, and he could have easily destroyed the Earth at any time. He could have easily turned against humanity at any time in those films, but he never did. Even when people turned against him, even when Batman was trying to kill him, he still was trying to protect Batman, telling him he wasn't even, when he was about to die, he wasn't even concerned about himself. He was worried about his mother. And that was a terrible line in the film, but that shows Superman's character, because even at the end of his life, if he thought he was going to die at that moment, he's like, protect Martha. And that was what he was concerned about his mother and was willing to die as long as Batman protected his mother. And then at the end of that film, even after everything he went through with humanity, blaming him for everything, the bombing in the court, the hatred they felt towards Superman, even after everything they put him through, he still died protecting the Earth. And so, I don't care about the fans who say that that is the worst version of Superman they've ever seen. I saw Superman through those films. What Superman believed and what he stood for. In this film, I never saw that. There was never a moment of hope. There was never a moment of, this is Superman. He is our hope. He is everything that represents good and right. And even in another mistake that was made was when, at the very end, when the Justice Gang rescues the country from the terrorists, when Green Lantern comes out there, he's the better version of Superman. That also shows that there was no true respect or empathy towards Superman, because in this film, Superman is treated like a bigot, seen as incredibly weak at times. He was always so miserable throughout the whole film, and in his moment to shine, where he could have truly seen where he represented Superman, the movie, he didn't. And so that is why I don't like Superman 2025. It's not because of Superman. It's not because of Superman. The guy who plays Superman did an awesome job. Everyone in that film did a spectacular job. Where the movie failed was the message behind the movie was lost in the story, because it got lost in the jokes and the silliness, that he forgot he was making a Superman film. He made a film that was more favorable to his style of writing, which is where the Justice Gang comes into play. And if he made a film called The Justice Gang, and Superman was introduced to the Justice Gang, that actually would have been a vastly superior film. But what made the film fail was the movie was called Superman, but it wasn't about Superman. And that's why I have my opinion about that. But that's my long lecture about that. Going back to Tron Ares, I only brought up the Superman and all the other stories simply to talk about the value of a story. Tron Ares is not supposed to be an overcomplicated style film. Its sole purpose was to entertain, and it delivered. And that is why it is a good movie. What they were trying to do, they succeeded. Because I will watch that movie again. Probably not in theaters, but I will watch that movie again. Probably several times. Because that movie took you on a journey. It brought you into that world where you could see yourself seeing these AI systems coming alive, and you being a part of it. You were inside of the story. There was exposition, but only when it was necessary. It wasn't just blatantly thrown out there. Like, the entire link to, the last two films, the link to Tron was throughout the film. But specifically, the link to Tron Legacy happened in the beginning of the film. And so, for the movie by itself, if you knew nothing about Tron, if you didn't even know about Tron Legacy, a film by itself, it is a good film. It has a strong standing foundation. Because, no, it's not going to be the best film in the world, but it's definitely not the worst. It's an amazing film. If you watch it, you get lost in the world. It challenges your imagination. It makes you wonder and explore. And so, if you are going into that film looking for something complicated, you're not going to like it. But if you're just there to see a movie and have fun and be entertained, then it's a good movie. Because it is a good movie. And this is not me attacking the critics, because they have their rights to believe. They have their rights to believe what they want. Like I said, the only reason I made this video was to express that a lot of them didn't really give it a fair chance. Most of them didn't watch the first Tron, so they didn't understand the point of the third film. And they didn't look at Tron Ares. They looked at a Disney product. And that's where a lot of the critics messed up. And all they saw was what they wanted to see in those films. And I usually don't say that because that sounds arrogant. But in this situation, it's like they saw the worst of the film. They didn't get a chance to enjoy the film. They anticipated it was going to be a bad film. And then they bashed it. Most of the people who are just regular people like me loved the film. And I love the film. And for me, I'm not a video reviewer, but I do review movies every time I watch them. And if I don't like a film, there's a reason there's a lot of reasons why I don't like it, and I would express that. Like Superman, why I don't like the film. But if it's a good movie, then I'm all for it. And honestly, I think Disney is going into the right direction of trying to do better. It feels like they're trying to fix the mistakes that they've made. And I don't know how long it's going to take for them to come back to what they used to be, but I hope it's soon. Because I really believe that they're trying to fix the mistakes they made. And when you watch Tron, if you don't have no knowledge of Tron, it's perfectly fine. It's a good standalone film. You can watch it and then go back to the other films. But it's a good standalone film. And like I said, the reason I like the story was because of how well it linked to the other two Tron stories. I also like the film because I haven't seen this structure of a film in a long time. And it's a simple structure, but it's a strong structure because it is about a hero's journey. And that's the most basic story you can write. It is a hero's journey. And some of the characters, a lot of the characters should have gotten more attention. But I think they did at least a decent job of talking about them and expressing it. And I think it's probably be really hard to focus on 4 or 5 characters in the story at once, because that's what happened with the Eternals. The Eternals could have been a much better film had they focused on only 5 characters instead of all of the Eternals. Because we remember the 5 primary characters, but we forget the rest of them. Because they were the most important characters of the story. So had they done a trilogy like they were expected to, I think had they done it in 3 parts of introducing all the Eternals, I think it would have been a far more successful trilogy than a successful movie. But I'm going off on another film. Going back to Tron Ares. I liked Tron Ares, and there will be those who won't like the movie, but for those who like Tron, they're gonna love this movie. And for those who just like a simple film, like a basic story, this is also a good film for that. And if you're there to be entertained, it's like, just like Jared Leto said, it is like watching a cyber concert. It's actually really spectacular. So if you're there for the beauty and the elegance of it all, you'll like the story then too. and it's definitely engineered for a theater, not so much digital. But like I said, when it comes to digital, I'm definitely going to get it. But my opinion of Tron Ares, if I were to rate it, I would give it about C plus on my grade scale. It's a C plus film. And the only reason I say C plus is simply because it wasn't an absolute. You know what? I take that back. I'll give it mercy points. I'll give it a B because of the fact that it was a masterpiece. It was a masterpiece for what it was designed to do. And so I'll give it a B minus for that fact. I can't give it an A because I can't give it an A plus or S if you want to go, if you're a gamer. But I can't give it a high tier. I can't give it an A or S because of the fact that there wasn't a lot of that we kind of lost pace with the other characters, and we got lost only on Tron Ares, not so much the other side characters, and like the leading character. I feel like she could have done more, it deducts a point because it deducts a grade because it didn't have Tron in it. Because that, honestly, if there's anything I can complain about that movie, is I don't like that there was no Tron in the film. Because the movie is Tron, and honestly, this would have been a perfect movie to talk about, to use both Tron. This could have been a perfect movie about Tron and Ares. But some have said that there's a fourth movie coming. So if Tron is coming into the fourth film, and this was just the building blocks to that film, then I will push it up to an A. But unless that is proven otherwise, I give it a B. B because they really tried to make a really good film, and I think they succeeded. I give it a B because although it wasn't didn't do a perfect job of using character, like there was a lot of stuff, there was a lot of character plots that were missing that could have been added to the story, which would have made it better. And with the lack of it being Tron in the film as well, those are the reasons that the thing can't get to A, because there were small structural issues with the story, but for a basic hero's journey, it was a perfect story, in my opinion. He had a redeeming arc. He had a redemption arc. You saw him grow into his character, and like I said, we could have seen more with the other characters. But like I said, I'm giving it mercy points because for its purpose, it was a masterpiece. It fulfilled its purpose. So it was a masterpiece in its own right. So that's why it's a B minus. But anyways, that's my long lecture about movies and cinema. But my personal opinion, I think Tron Ares is a really good film. I think you would enjoy it very much, and if you don't, I understand that too. But give it a chance. Don't throw it away, because I feel like you're going to miss out on a really good movie if you don't even try. That's it. Scarlet Knight Skyward signing off.